No.
Neither do I. Do you know what you had Sunday for lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I had a sandwich. But we take what we are going to have for lunch for granted. We choose what we want. Sometimes we have multiple choices. Sometimes it's, do we just have bread and peanut butter at the house? But we always have a choice in what we're going to eat, because that's who we are. We have cars, we have means, we have money, we can go do it. There are 50,000 people in the county of Greenville who don't have that choice. They may be old, they may be ill, they may just have a tough time. How do they get lunch? They get it in a way that we can help. It's called Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels delivers over 300,000 meals every year to people who need food in Greenville. I have a weekly ride on Wednesdays. It's great. I get in my car, I drive to the Meals on Wheels office, chat everybody up there. Yes, I know their names. I take them donuts, so they really like to food. And then I go, and I usually take Emily with me, and the people that we see like to see me, but they love to see my daughter because they don't get it. Virtually everybody that I see has no car. They depend on people to take them to the grocery store. Sometimes they are unable to even cook their meals. So first of all, they have a need for food. Mr. Thompson is a young man. I say he's young because he looks like he's about my age. He's in a wheelchair. He has a very difficult time not only to get to the grocery store, but to be able to cook it. Because if you're sitting down in a wheelchair, how are you going to cook on a stove? We take food to Mr. Thompson, and he usually leaves the door open for us. He's in a wheelchair. In the summer, he sometimes wears a shirt, sometimes he doesn't. As long as he wears that towel on his lap, I'm happy. Not only is there a need for food, there's a need for support. There are two, I think probably an aunt and a niece that live together. The niece is on a renal diet. She has a very tough time. One time I was there helping the aunt who had fallen between her mattress and her railing. She's a big woman, bigger than me. And she could not move. And Emily and I had to try to put her on a bed. And the poor woman who has kidney problems, she was not even conscious. We had to call the office so somebody would come and check them. There are people that are like that. It's a place that you need to be to help others. Then we drive up to Mrs. Martin's house. Now this is a lovely stone house. There's a BMW in the driveway. I'd like to think that I did not make a judgment call on that. But y'all know better. So Mrs. Martin's daughter comes to the door, and I introduced myself, I introduced Emily, I said, we're going to be here every week. And she looks at me and she says, you don't know how good you are to come here. My mother has Alzheimer's. She still remembers who I am. But you're coming and giving us lunch gives me a chance to be with my mother while she still knows me. Thank you. Okay. I learned my lesson on that one. I try very hard not to ever make another judgment call because Mrs. Martin's daughter, who is able to cook and who is able to drive, needs us for another reason. She needs to be with her mother. And finally, there's the need for human contact. That's where Miss Mitchell comes in. Y'all, Miss Mitchell is a treat. She worked for years as a maid, I think, and whoever she worked for cared for her very dearly. The woman has a flat screen television and cable because we were going back and forth with the HD. She is charming. She has no car. She has no way to get there. So she does need the food and she does need the support. But we are the only people that Mrs. Mitchell sees during the week. always make sure that we have an extra 15 minutes. And if we have to run the route backwards to get Mr. Thompson to physical therapy, we are happy to do that because Miss Mitchell needs to see us. She asked about Emily. She asked about the Halloween party. There are needs for human contact that those of us who get them on a real regular basis forget that sometimes people don't have. Now, who runs these Meals on Wheels route? There are retired people, which are great. There are moms with little children, and I don't know how in the world they get them in and out of those car seats, but they do. There are corporate sponsors. I know Floor has a group. I know GE has a group. Cox had a group when I worked there where you could go once a month. You can have a monthly route. You can have a weekly route. You can call in for a substitute. We know people who are subs, and they deliver far more. You have a group of instructions that says, reverse out of the driveway and turn to your left. And believe me, you can still get lost. But you have what you need. Meals on Wheels is a wonderful thing. They get money from United Way. They take it from donations. You certainly are willing to help. What they need are drivers and deliverers. So if you want to help someone who needs food, someone who needs support, someone who needs human contact, Meals on Wheels is the perfect vehicle.